is a dead snake. The purpose of this presentation today is to try and convince you that not only is that statement far from the truth, but it's also very damaging to the reputation of one of our most beautiful, misunderstood and important middle-class predators. Throughout the presentation, I'll speak firstly about our fear of snakes, their fear of us, and how they're not all as dangerous and aggressive as we're led to believe. I'll be introducing my pet python, Monty, to try and convince you that they are beautiful creatures and are animals just the same as any cat, dog, or koala. Secondly, I'll explain how snakes are essentially maintaining a high biodiversity, which is important for our environment and humans alike. Thirdly, I'll talk about how prevention is better than cure, and how to snake-proof your home, how to educate your family on what to do if encountering a snake, and where to find the contact phone numbers of any of your local snake catchers. Lastly, I will make it quite clear that even if you feel as though your family, yourself or your pets are being threatened by a snake, it is still far safer and far more ethical to call a snake catcher and have it removed, or simply just let it be and let it continue along on its way. I'll also be doing a demonstration just to show you how quick and easy it can be to have a snake removed. As children, we're brought up to believe that snakes are dangerous and aggressive and you are to avoid them at all costs. Generations of families in Australia have had a strong belief that the only way to survive a snake encounter is to kill it with any means possible and kill it fast. This belief is becoming fast outdated as we become increasingly more educated and more people adopt them as pets, such as Monty here. Monty is a 6-month-old Darwin python, quite frisky because I've just gotten him out of his enclosure off his heat mat when he should be hibernating, and he can smell something else that I have to show you shortly. Now, no doubt, a lot of you are thinking that I'm crazy for even wanting to have a snake as a pet. And that if you were to see one, your first instinct would be to kill it. Well, take a minute to think about this, or to think of the consequences. I'm a mum myself, and very shortly I'm going to be telling my son over and over and over again to think before he acts. But how many of us do this ourselves? 95% of snake bites on humans occur because somebody has tried to deliberately provoke or harm a snake. Now think about this for a moment. Throughout my research, I spoke to quite a few different people from different organisations and various snake catchers. One in particular was a guy named Brian. He gave me a statement that sums up my point exactly. He said, if you were given a choice to stand in the middle of the busy highway with yourself and your child, or to stand on the side of the road on the grass in safety, which option would you choose? Obviously, I said the second option, and he said exactly. So why would you put yourself in the highest risk category for snake bites by trying to catch or kill a snake? And I said, well, if you put it that way, it seems like common sense, really, and it is. Snakes have several harmless tactics they can resort to as an alternative to biting. They may hiss, make mock strikes with a closed mouth, or flail around to try to escape. Snakes use their venom to kill prey, not in self-defense, or they prefer not to anyway. They'd much prefer not to waste their venom on any prey that's far too big to eat. So they will resort to a dry bite tactic to try and scare you for long enough so they can escape. Snakes will never make unprovoked attacks on humans. When a snake comes in contact with people, its first instinct is to get to safety. If it does not do this, it may stay perfectly still to try and blend in with its surroundings. Stories of people being chased by snakes are also very mistaken. As I said, If a snake feels threatened, its first instinct is to flee to safety. So if you happen to be in between the snake and its safe place, it will try to get past you to get there. If you happen to turn and run in the same direction, it will appear to be chasing you. They also have a very short attention span of about a minute. So if you come across a snake, stand very still and leave it alone. Give it about a minute and it'll forget that you're even there and will continue along its way. As I said, snakes are very important in maintaining a high level of biodiversity, which is important to all life on Earth, including humans. In Australia, we tend to forget that snakes and other reptiles make up a significant proportion of middle-class predators. Without them, numbers of prey species would increase to unnatural levels, and predators that eat snakes would struggle to find food. For example, 2 rats, such as my furry friends here, can become 160,000 rats in just under a year if left uncontrolled. It's common knowledge how destructive rodents can be. They can chew through wires in your ceiling, your walls, your cars, and even start fires in your home. So it's your choice. You can kill snakes when you see them. However, you're almost certainly inviting rodents to take over instead. Most snake catchers charge a small fee to cover the cost of travel. They will remove a snake and relocate it to another habitat away from humans, where they can continue to keep rodent populations in check and out of your homes. There are also hefty government fines for killing snakes, as you may well know. So once again, the choice is yours. A small fee for a snake catcher can save you potentially thousands of dollars worth of damage, fines, or even a trip to the hospital. Now, as I've mentioned before, prevention is better than a cure. Ideally, it's best to try and keep snakes from entering your property at all. There are a few tips and important facts to keep in mind when snake-proofing your home and yard. First of all, snakes will only enter your property looking for food, shelter, heat, or a mate. So it makes sense that if you make your house your whole property as unappealing and inaccessible as possible, you're less likely to have a reptile visitor in your home. Now, as I've said many times, snakes are instinctive animals and certainly do not want to be around humans. But unfortunately, we're encroaching more and more on their habitats and providing ideal environments for their prey. Rats like these two make great snacks for snakes. So it's very important to control rodent populations on your property by using appropriate measures, such as setting traps, removing all available food, and keeping bird aviaries and pet areas as clean as possible. You can also block access points using steel wool, which is very effective as rodents cannot chew through it. Be wary that all aspects of a snake's life rely on external heat sources to function. So therefore, they're often found behind fridges, in ceilings, or anywhere they can find heat. So limiting access to exposed heat sources can be very beneficial. Check under sheet metal and tarps before lifting them up entirely. Also, keeping grass cut low keeps out snakes and rodents. In Australia, it's virtually impossible to prevent a snake encounter in the wild, although it is still possible to protect yourself and your family by educating them on what to do when they see a snake and always being prepared. Educating children, however, especially young ones, can be very tricky. Children under the age of 2 won't comprehend much or understand much of what you're telling them or understand consequences. Therefore, constant adult supervision is paramount for their safety. Never rely on a dog or any other children to warn you of a snake as they may not see it before your infant does. One idea for educating children under the age of 2 is to show them pictures of a snake and use words such as ouch, bad, or biting when describing them. Children from 2 onwards should always be taught to stand still like a tree as soon as they see a snake and don't move. Yell out snake to alert adults of its presence. Stay there until they're told to move. And so, keep in mind that snakes have no ears, so any yelling is not going to affect their behaviour at all. Tell them to watch the snake carefully and tell the adult where it goes if it disappears, because a snake catcher cannot catch a snake if they don't know where it's gone. Once an adult deems it safe, move away slowly. Snakes are very wary of any sudden movements and fast vibrations. They should always be taught to watch where they're walking, never put their hands down holes or anywhere that they can't see, and look before they touch anything, as snakes love to hide. Another way to protect yourself and your family is to wear protective clothing. Snake fangs are too short to pierce through tough clothing. So closed-in shoes, thick socks, long thick pants are essential when playing in the yard or walking through the bush. Small children should also wear long sleeve shirts if possible, as more of their bodies are within striking range. And remember, children watch everything you do, so be a positive influence by practicing what you preach and remaining calm at all times. In my quest for a central 1300 number, I found that there is no quick and easy way to locate a snake catcher's phone number in an emergency. There are, however, a few excellent websites that I have behind me that have very comprehensive lists of contact phone numbers for snake catchers in your area. And both the Snake Catchers Brisbane and the Wildlife Queensland websites have fantastic information on all of your local common snakes as well. I have to point out that there is a 1300 animal phone number available, but it is mainly for sick and injured wildlife and a few other services. They will not provide snake catchers' contact numbers so as to not appear biased towards any snake catcher. So it's essential to plan ahead and be prepared. Find your local snake catcher's phone number in advance and keep it somewhere handy in case of emergency. Either keep it in your mobile phone or have it within a list of emergency phone numbers on your fridge or beside your home phone. Here's one I prepared for this presentation. So as you can see, I have 000 for police, fire and ambulance. I have the Poisons Information Centre phone number, 13 Health, the hospital and my local doctor, and the Kingaroy Snake Catcher phone number. Of the numerous snakes indigenous to Australia, 100 are venomous and 12 are regarded lethal. Although, according to the University of Melbourne Snake Mortality in Australia, deaths from venomous snake bites are relatively rare. I've heard many people state that they will only kill a snake if it's venomous and threatening their family. There is no practical way to immediately and safely identify a snake species, as they vary dramatically. Therefore, all snakes are considered dangerous, should be considered dangerous and treated likewise. They also have quite a short striking range, which is half their body length. So, for instance, for a 3-metre snake, their striking range will be 1.5 metres. So you have to be quite close to a snake for it to strike you. So once again, don't risk it. Call a snake catcher and have it removed. So I just want to point out that a snake's detached head can act immediately by reflex and potentially a bite. The induced bite can be just as severe as that of a live snake. However, a dead snake cannot regulate venom, so a bite from a venomous snake often contains large amounts of venom. I'll now do a brief demonstration to show you how quick and easy a snake capture can be. There are two options when capturing a snake. First one is to just lay the mouth along the ground, tap the tail of the snake and coach it into the bag. As I've said previously, they're looking for a safe place to hide. So a nice dark black hole such as this is going to be very appealing to a threatened snake. So that's probably the most safest way for the snake. The second option is to place the hook just under the neck or a few centimetres from its head. If they want to cooperate, very gently lift it up, lift the bag up as well, and place the snake into the bag. Be very, very careful not to drop it onto the floor. As you may hurt the snake. And if you it doesn't want to come off. And this is why they say never work with children or animals. So I just need to point out that I'm in no way a professional. I've only been shown how to do this a few times and I've only been practicing it recently. So a qualified snake catcher is going to be able to do this a lot quicker than what I am. So if it was a venomous snake I wouldn't do this, but for the purpose of the presentation I'm just going to take him off the hook like so. So normally just lift it up like that. The snake will weigh the bag down at the bottom. Twist it like so that it can't come back out. You lay the bag with the mouth facing down on the ground so it's easier to release it later. Reach down and there's two ties. Lift that up, gently place it down on the mouth like so, and there we go, ready to be relocated. So as you can see, snakes aren't the fearsome evil creatures that we're often led to believe. Some are quite tame and even suitable for pets. In the wild, they're generally more scared of you than you are of them, and if left unprovoked will continue on its way, leaving no one harmed or any worse off. So with everything that's going on in our world today, it's easy to start thinking that nothing we can do is going to make a difference. But even if we can't change the world, we can change our world. You can make a conscious decision to save the life of a beautiful and protected native animal. Remember, a snake is only looking for food, shelter, heat, or a mate, not you and your family. So if you see one, call a snake catcher or simply leave it alone and it will go away. Snakes are very important and beautiful creatures, and the only bad one is a dead one. Thank you.